Hello everyone, I'm Rucha Deshpande and you're watching me on Midcon Skill Development web series. In this video, I'm going to share with you workable tips to develop an effective communication skill. When top executives were asked this question, what traits truly define a great leader? In a survey by 6 Degree Executive, attributes such as experience, success and decisiveness were surprisingly at the bottom of the list. Instead, the top 3 threats were integrity and authenticity, team building and outstanding communication skill. So connective communication is the essence of success, and if connectivity lacks, it impacts on our life too, isn't it? Just think, when you can do with connective communication, you can connect with your love, impress people, convince boss, talk to your customers, good bonding with your colleagues, anyone inner and outer circle, and imprints or mark on them with your influential skills. I said influential skills. It is a technical jargon for you to understand, remember connectivity or relatability. Now develop a connectivity with me to make your communication skills impactful by clicking the like button and continue watching my video. And even you can press the bell icon to subscribe our channel to get an uninterrupted flow for such amazing tips. तो शुरू करते हैं कहानी से। एक राजा था, उसे एक दिन शिकार करने की बड़ी इच्छा हुई, तो वो अपने कुछ सैनिक और मंत्रियों को लेकर चल पड़ा। जंगल काफ़ी घना था और कुछ देर भटकने के बाद एक शिकार पर उसकी नज़र पड़ी। शिकार का पीछा करते करते वो काफ़ी दूर निकल गया और उनके सारे साथी पीछे छूट गए। राजा ने साथियों की तलाश में सारा जंगल छान मारा, पर उसे निराशा ही हाथ लगी। घूमते घूमते उसे एक ऋषि ध्यान करते दिखाई दिए। फिर कुछ सोच विचार करने के बाद उसने पूछा, सूरसागर जी, क्या आप बता सकते हैं कि कोई राहगीर अभी अभी यहाँ से निकला है? ऋषि बोले, महाराज, सबसे पहले तो आपका सैनिक निकला था, उसके पीछे पीछे आपका सेना नायक और उसके बाद आपके मंत्री यहाँ से गए थे। राजा को देख के ये ज्ञात हुआ कि ऋषि की आंखों से कुछ नहीं दिखता। वो बहुत अचंभित हो गए और उन्होंने पूछा, हे सूरसागर जी, क्षमा करें, आपको देख के ज्ञात होता है कि आप देख नहीं सकते, फिर आपने मुझे कैसे पहचाना? और आपने ये भी बताया कि मेरे सैनिक, नायक और मंत्री भी यहाँ से अभी अभी गुजरे हैं। तब ऋषिवर ने कहा, महाराज, मैंने आपके सैनिक, नायक, मंत्री को देखा नहीं है, सिर्फ उनकी भाषा सुनी है और उसी से मैंने अनुमान लगाया। सबसे पहले आपके सैनिक ने आकर मुझसे पूछा, क्यों रे अंधे, यहाँ से अभी अभी कोई निकला है? तो उसके बाद सेना नायक ने आकर पूछा, ओ सूर जी, यहाँ अभी अभी कोई गुजरा है क्या, ज़रा बताओ। फिर नायक के पीछे पीछे आए आपके मंत्री जी और उन्होंने मुझसे पूछा, हे सूर जी, कृपया करके मुझे बताएं कि यहाँ से अभी अभी कोई गुजरा है क्या, बहुत मदद मिलेगी। महाराज, अंत में आप आए और आपके स्मित, शांत और आदर भाव वाणी ने आपका परिचय दिया। वाणी व्यक्ति की पद प्रतिष्ठा, बड़प्पन और व्यक्तित्व की पहचान अपने आप करा देती है। राजा ऋषि को धन्यवाद देके वहाँ से निकल गया। Hope you enjoyed the story a lot. So the moral of the story is, your speech reveals your identity, your character, your persona. In fact, communication is your culture. It's a reflection of your personality, which is a combination of values, beliefs, attitude and upbringing. So justify your upbringing and work on your impactful communication. The fact is that recently it is determined that the attention span of the human had declined to 8 seconds, even less than that of the goldfish. In such a small span of attention, how can you connect your audience or counterpart? Isn't it a big challenge? So first condition is, shred down your negative attitude. Make you as I am possible, as there is no room for impossible. When you are with me, and that's Rucha. My workable tips based on framework of effective characteristic by LSRW. That is listening, speaking, reading and writing. All 4 skills are incredibly important to grab any language. Generally, listening and reading are referred as a receptive skill. Speaking and writing are referred as a productive skill. So if you want to learn any language, you should have a master's in all of the four. And before you learn any language, start with the 2-step to design your impactful communication skill. Step number 1, identify your learning style. You could be combination of auditory, visionary or kinesis learner in different percentage. It means a multimodal learner. For example, मैं ज़्यादातर वीडियो देख के like YouTube वीडियो और सुनकर like hearing in English songs इस तरीके से सीखती हूँ. So identify your dominant style and act accordingly. My step number 2 is diagnosis the area where you have to work more. That means identify your gaps. You might already know some basics or you may be still trying to learn the basics. Either way, it's always a good idea to take a free level test and find out where your skills are. Just need to identify the quickest way of language is to focus on your weaknesses and build on your strengths. If you follow the steps while implementing my tips, I'm pretty sure that you will enjoy your learning, and with only one tip, you can grab many things together. वो कहते हैं ना, एक तीर से कई निशाने साधना, and this is a good example for it. You may lose your faith in abundance of videos posted every now and then on YouTube, but never in yourself. So explore the customized workable tips for you and start your journey of improvement. So my most treasurable tips now coming, my genie's lamp, are my tip number 1 is reading books. You may got the list of books to improve your English from big authors and publication. But as I said earlier, identify your likeness means get the easy books with a simple meaning. Consider your taste of fiction and non-fiction and then read. As I started my learning with the books like Akbar Birbal, Aesop Fables, etc., which have a simple meaning and an easy vocabulary. While reading, make an effort to read it aloud to practice your pronunciation and voice modulation. Once you have done speaking, you need to reflect. Otherwise, how can you identify the mistake and correct them? The best way to meaningfully reflect on your conversation is to record them. Listen to yourself and then lastly, write down a short summary of what you have read and check for all the mistakes you think you have made. This way you can enhance your comprehension too. For example, if you don't like the books, you can also refer to the English newspapers. Now, my tip number 2, learn to speak with a native speaker. This tip is filled with fun. Whatever you are learning, you need to speak up. Now you will say, I don't have anybody to speak with, and even you will feel ashamed with your tutti-frutti language. Then no worries guys, this is an Alexa world. You can practice with or take in help of your digital friend. For example, want to develop spoken English fluency? Then go with a resourceful mobile application to practice your language like Cambly, italki, Preply, Verbling, Check Tutor, and many more. This application will get you the experience and a friendly professional educators too. You can correct all your mistakes here. My last tip, my step number 3 is speaking with listening and watching. First, go with listening English songs, audiobooks or podcasts, which will make you enjoy a lot. And secondly, watching movie with a delayed subtitles on Netflix or a Prime. Before you watch a movie, turn on the English subtitles and delay the subtitles for about 2 seconds. When you hear an actor speaks, try to listen with a full attention. Don't worry that you may not understand. You can read the subtitles later when they appear. This activity is really going to help you to improve your reading. Now, finish? No. Now my bonus point for you guys. Once you practice all above tips meticulously, I'm pretty sure that you will beat all the hurdles to express yourself in any particular language. But we want to achieve the influential level. याद है मैंने सबसे पहले कहा था influential level. So your next level is your upgradation in your activities. Now after your personalized learning paths and measures and many assessments in your practice, you can now participate or practice the extempores, write your own blogs, upload your podcasts, write articles, and even frame your own poetries. Remember guys, one thing you have to do is to be relaxed. Yes, have fun with your learning. Don't make it into a stressful experience. You can't speak a foreign language when you are wound tightly. So loosen up and let the words flow. Hope my given tips will help you to get expertise, proficient in any language, or either you say a globally English language. To emphasize more on the topic, hear from an impeccable lady, Miss Meera Swaroop. What makes Meera stand apart is a real-life practical example that correlates to every point she narrates. She's one of the finest trainers I have come on learning to make an impactful communication. Thank you so much.
Hi, my name is Meera Swaroop and I'm an impact communication coach. I work with professionals to help them gain impact and influence in situations that matter by shifting the way they communicate. In today's conversation, I'd like to introduce you to a simple model that you could use to help bring that kind of impact or even effectiveness in everything that you communicate. So let's dive directly into that. When I'm talking about this foundation, I want to introduce you to 4 blocks of communication that if you study well, you could begin to make a difference with every conversation that you have. What are those? Giving it to you right here. People, message, context, and listening. When you grasp what really goes into these 4 blocks, you'll begin to notice how your communication is a lot more intentional, quite conscious, is giving you the results you were looking for, and is landing exactly as intended. Now, wouldn't that make your communication even more impactful? So let's get started and deep dive into each of these blocks already. The first block, people. Here, the first thing you want to see is anybody who you're communicating with, that person, what is their role? What is their identity in that organization or society? Who are you approaching? And with what intention? That means how are you intending to influence them? So let me give you something that will be very tangible to take away. When we're talking about people, something that immediately attaches to it is how are you managing perception? Perception management can sometimes be a little in the air, but I want to tangibilize it for you right now. Perception management of people literally is 3 parts. What do you want them to think? What do you want them to feel? And what do you want them to do? If you can get these 3 aspects right, you are on a great journey to start to manage perceptions and ensure that your conversation lands as intended. What do I mean by that? Let me give you an example. Consider this, that you are approaching a professor to seek some guidance on clarity of an assignment or a project. Now you could just pop in an email and say, I wasn't very clear on this aspect of the assignment, could you please give me details? Or you want to check back, what do you really want the professor to think, feel, and do? You want the professor to think that you are a keen and interested student. You want the professor to feel respected for his view and his ability to guide you. You also want the professor to finally give you the guidance right there. So then your message would really land with a lot more sincerity and saying, dear professor, thank you for your time today in the classroom. This session was very engaging and I found certain aspects very interesting. I am writing to get more clarity on this particular aspect. Could you please tell me how do I go about this? I will be waiting for your response. Thank you. Now that kind of an interaction is because you were aligned with what do you want your professor to think, what do you want your professor to feel, and what do you want your professor to do. I hope that helps you. Let's jump to the second block. That's about your message. Now, in terms of your message, let me make this even simpler for you. There are 3 aspects that you need to be looking at: the intent, the channel, and checking for the receiver's understanding of your message. So let's jump on the intent. Whenever you're looking to communicate with anybody, no matter what the medium, you want to be very clear about what is my intention when I'm communicating with this person. Am I intending to ask something? Am I intending to inquire? Am I intending to inform the other person? Am I intending to give them feedback on something? Or am I intending to persuade them to agree on something? Am I intending to seek approval? If the intention of your conversation is clear, the words start to roll with ease. So be very clear about when you're looking to communicate with somebody, what is it that you're intending for them to do. The second is your channel. When we're talking about channel, we mean which medium are you using to communicate with the person? Are you using your text, or are you using a phone call? Are you going to meet them in person? Are you choosing a virtual platform like Zoom or Teams? Whatever be the medium, that choice of medium depends on the intention of the conversation. So you would realize that when there is not a very high gravity conversation, it's a quick check-in. It's like, hi, I'll see you at the store at so-and-so time, or I'll see you in the assignment room at this particular place. You would be giving such brief details over text. When you know that you're going to be having something that involves a lot more gravity, something that will be a slightly heavier conversation, that means it could be giving feedback or telling something of a slightly sensitive nature where feelings and emotions are involved, then you want to choose your medium more appropriately. That means trying to be in person or over the phone or over a virtual platform where you can see the person. Those barriers come down because your tone is visible, your body language to a great extent is visible, and people wouldn't just assume certain things because they didn't show up. It takes a lot of practice and intelligence to communicate only using text or email in a way that it lands very effectively. And I would like you to work on all the mediums instead of focusing on text because it's the easier option. Start to practice your communication all across all mediums and start to see where does your strength lie. For all you know, you might be quite surprised with the results that come from there. The third aspect when we're talking about message is how well is your receiver understanding your message. Now, this is a key area that I'd like to give you a few tips on. Whenever you say something to somebody, and if you're working in a team, it could be an assignment, or you're working along with a teacher, you're asking a question, but you know your question could be a little complex. So sometimes I have heard people say, "Did you get that?" After they finish speaking, they might even say, "Was that clear?" That can come across as a little offensive and maybe even rude. What's even better is to use phrases like, after you finish saying something, say, "Was I clear?" You could also say, "I hope I made it easy to understand." You could also say, "Are you with me?" This is a way of confirming that what you were sharing, did the other person get it? In fact, you could go an extra step and you could invite the person, "I know I said something. Do you want to share back with me what you got from what I said?" This ensures that there's no break in communication, and this is extremely essential when you're sharing and training people on protocol. What are the rules? What are the regulations? What is it that you want them to do stepwise in an order? For making teams work, you will require this back and forth where people say, "Yes, I really got that piece of information." With experience, you will identify that which are the pieces of information for which you need a message back from the receiver, and which are the messages that once told, people will get. Let's now come to the third block. I'm talking about context. Now in communication, context significantly matters. And to help you understand context, it's again three parts. It's about, in that piece of communication, what is the timing? What is the location where you're choosing to have that piece of communication? And what is the relationship you have with that person with whom you're bringing up that conversation? So about location and timing, let me give you an example. For instance, I would love to get a call from my mother and love to catch up and understand what's happening with her through the day or through the month. But if I'm driving and there's a lot of traffic around me and then she chooses to call in that moment, that timing and that location doesn't allow me to have a very fruitful conversation with her, especially if I'm trying to get into parallel parking. So we've got to be very aware that when are we bringing up, where are we bringing up, with whom are we bringing up what matters to be discussed. So it may be a super idea to talk about progress on a particular assignment or a project with a colleague or with a team member, but do you want to be doing it on their birthday? Or do you want to be doing it when they're actually preparing to go compete in another competition? So we've got to identify which is the most appropriate time and place to bring up something that really matters to you. You may have noticed sometimes communication that you thought would go well didn't, because you probably brought it up at an awkward timing or a location that didn't help you communicate effectively. Let's now talk about the fourth block of communication that really completes its foundation. I'm talking about listening. Now, you may have heard a lot about it and you might have read a lot about it, and I'd like to give you a different context to listening. Many of us have been trained to speak, have been trained to communicate in terms of writing, expressing, but a significant part of communication, that's listening, is something we rarely receive any clear training on. We've grown up through our school years, a lot of our college years are spent where we don't spend a lot of time listening as consciously, even though listening makes up more than 60% of our day. Because there's a significant difference between hearing and listening. When we listen to people, we tend to be running with an idea of efficiency. We tend to not listen to people because something in our head tells us, I want to complete this conversation as fast as possible. We are driven by efficiency, which may sound like a very positive attribute. Yet, listening is not about efficiency. Listening is about understanding. How about you let the efficiency part be on when you are actually expressing, when you're doing the writing, when you're doing the speaking. But can understanding be the goal when you are trying to listen? Yes, with practice you could start to combine the two. But my invitation to you is, would you be willing to let people finish? Would you be willing to allow yourself to take a pause of just 2 seconds when somebody finishes to speak? There is a good chance that what you were going to say would shift because what the other person said, you understood so much better. It can be quite a magical experience, and I invite you to try it. That what would it be like if you chose to just listen? The other thing you really want to do with listening is ask yourself, am I really listening, waiting for the other person to finish? Am I absorbing everything the person is saying? I hope it is the latter. And if it is the latter, then I invite you to see what are the tools you want to use when you want to absorb everything the other person is saying. You want to make full use of listening, not just from your ears, but also from your eyes and also from your heart. Talking about the listening from your eyes, you want to see when the person who's speaking with you, what are the other signals you're picking up, especially if the person is in front of you, even virtually on a screen. What is the person communicating? The person would say, yeah, man, happy for you. But you could notice that the body language is relatively muted. There isn't that spark in the person's voice, even when the person is saying, happy for you. You can sense that somewhere the person is probably feeling sad. Maybe it has nothing to do with you. Maybe the person has their own story they're dealing with. Yet, you require to be aware when people are communicating, what are the other signals that you can start to read using your eyes? The third thing, when you're listening, I invite you to listen from your heart. And what do I mean by that? Usually when somebody says something like, oh, well, I won't be able to join this team, or, so I won't be able to get on with this assignment with you. We can listen to their words where the person said, I won't be able to get on to the assignment with you. But what we actually end up listening to is a meaning that we made up ourselves. And that meaning could be, this person doesn't want to work with me, or this person doesn't find me intelligent enough to be on their team. Our mind works in mysterious ways, and we have this ability to just interpret and make meanings out of anything anybody else is saying. This is the time I really invite you to strengthen what you're listening from your ear. That means catching it so objectively. The person said they won't be able to join the team. They wouldn't be available. They did not say, I don't find you competent. It is not necessary that these be the real meanings. We never know the real meanings. Give the other person a benefit of doubt. They said they won't be able to join the team. And when you listen from your heart, what you really want to be listening to, what is the person feeling and what is their need? So when the person says, I won't be able to join the team, you can sense that the person may be feeling helpless somewhere. But if it's not very clear, it's always okay to ask to say, could you tell me what happened that you can't join the team? Instead of asking, why can't you join the team? There's a significant difference between what and why. And if you want to listen powerfully, you want to listen to the what, not the why, because the why will give you a story that's already there in your mind. But if you listen to the what and you ask for it, hey, what happened that you can't join the team? Or what happened that you can't work with us on this project? That's an essential way for you to further start listening. What is the person thinking? What is the person feeling? And what is it that they really want? There's a good chance that the timing of the project may not work for them, and they may be assuming that you can't change the timing of the meetings that you're coming together for. In that conversation with the person, if you let go of the story that the person doesn't think you to be competent or the person doesn't take you to be a good fit, you've let go of the story. The person told you, I can't make it, the timings won't work for me. Then you want to get into a dialogue with the person with the intent to persuade. We're going back to previous blocks now. With the intent to persuade and find out, hey, how can both you and I work together in this? I'd really like you on the project. Could you tell me what can we do so that your expertise and our expertise comes together? And then really listen. Listen to how the person is perceiving the situation. The more you listen to what they are needing, the more you'll be able to create collaborative relationships. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope this was of use to you and value. These were the 4 foundations of communication. I repeat them for you. It's people, it's message, it's context, and it's your listening. When you combine these 4, when you really see all these 4 aspects, when you're planning any kind of communication that matters, where the stakes are high, trust you me, your communication will land as intended. Thank you for watching.